Hello and welcome to the September ILiA Support Pod. Today is really special because we're going to be doing a deep dive into our event that's next month, the Integral Embodied Embodied Integral. I should reverse those. And we are doing a deep dive that it's not just about the Embodied Integral event, it's also about the reboot of Integral Leadership in Action. So we're going to be talking about the context of where we've been and where we are now, and maybe even the big future that some of us have foreseen. So Namali had this event was it last week or the week before? I don't know. Time is a weird construct, which I don't really believe in. So it was called Engage, Embody, Embed, Enact, and then we added some more: Extend, Emerge, Invent, Excitement. So we had this event and it got a lot of there's like 20, 30 people on that session. It was really, really fun. So we are going to do that here today and sort of share where we're going. So to start, we want to make sure, Eric, we're not being redundant. Do you have any like worries about us repeating some of the things that we talked? Okay, Eric, I just wanted to be sensitive because Eric is our most loyal participant of the support pods. All right, so we'll talk about what support pods are and the context of all that, but we're going to really start with getting grounded. So I am a yoga teacher. I'm a certified yoga teacher. So we're going to get grounded. So it looks like everyone's having a sitting desk today. No one's in their standing desk. So let's go ahead and press our feet into the ground. I'm Bette Bolhofer, in case you're wondering. So let's feel our sits bones and sit up as straight as feels good for your back, based on whatever's going on with your back today. And then let's close our eyes and just do some deep breathing through the nose and out through the nose. So just getting grounded. So breathe into the lowest part of your belly. You can put your hands on the belly just to make sure. All right, let's do one more of those deep breaths and really exhaling all the air out. All right, wonderful. Now that we're a little bit grounded, we're going to do a little experiment or an exercise. Imagine or bring back to your memory the last really challenging conversation that you had. Maybe it was with a business partner or a spouse or a customer, and just pick which one you want to focus on. Something with a lot of conflict. And once you've selected one, we're going to explore the emotions that come up. So take a moment to remember the emotions that came up for you during that conflict, that conversation. Maybe you can label those emotions. And then we're going to really breathe into that space in our body where the emotion is manifesting. So take a moment to learn something from that interaction. What's your takeaway from having that emotional state? All right. So now we're going to come back. Go ahead and feel the current present. Go ahead and reground your feet. Feel the sits bones. All right. So go ahead and open your eyes. So conflict is something that happens a great deal in life. And we can learn from this conflict. I was thinking about a customer reaction that I just dealt with like a month ago. where my customer pretended like I didn't exist. And that was a heartbreaking emotion. So we have these things that happen in our life, and sometimes we just move right past them and we don't really feel the embodied experience of that emotion. But during our embodied integral event, that's not going to happen. In fact, we're going to have Diane Hamilton talk to us about the energy of conflict. It is very exciting on how we can meet the person who we're having the conflict with and transmute that conflict through this embodied experience. So this example of this just tiny little bit, and that was just a taste of just getting embodied around emotion, is going to be the type of kind of exercises that we're going to be doing at this embodied integral. So that was just the way we're going to start today. We're going to actually do a quick check-in just to see how are people doing. Michael, thank you so much for being here. So I just want to go around the room. During support pods, we always do a little check-in just to see who's here, maybe one or two words about how you're doing today. And then we're going to do another little exercise together with Kim. All right, so let's start with Suzanne. Tell us where you're coming from and maybe how you're doing, or anything that's on your mind at the top of mind. Just maybe 1 minute or less.
Right. Well,
yeah, and you could tell us why you're here. That would be
yes,
cool.
That would be amazing.
Well, I'm trying to change the world, and I'm looking for people who want to do that with me. So I kind of visit a lot of places. I'm in Los Angeles, and the thing that comes to mind is how much I'm appreciating you, Bet. How seriously you're taking 7 people. I like that a lot, because this does look like a good group. But, it's like, oh, it's a small group. I really like that you're just taking it really seriously. And I get it. It's not like you're acting. It's like you are that. And I appreciate that a lot.
Thank you, Suzanne. I'll go next. So I joined ILiA almost a year ago, and I am just full of optimism. And I'm very excited about the future. And I really believe that a small group of people can change the world. And in fact, I'm co-writing a book, and I'm working a lot today on this model of how each of us is doing individual evolution, and that integrates into the whole evolution of the universe. So that's kind of like what's been on my mind today, and I'm going to probably be bringing some of that energy into this session. Let's go over to Kim next. What's going on? How are you?
Hi, everybody. Good to see you. I'm just going to say, you're going to hear from me a lot. I'm good. I'm probably like always, blah, 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 all over the place. And so next person.
Yeah, and I'm in Oakland. I forgot to mention that. All right, let's go to Tom.
Okay, I'm in Oregon. I forgot to do that.
I got so wrapped up with the evolving of the universe. Tom.
Hi, I'm Tom Habib. I'm in San Diego County. And where's my energy? My energy is I've been crunching numbers all day and talking with AV people and trying to see if I can revive WTF. So I'm a little frustrated because the numbers are coming in really high. And I don't know what I'm going to do yet. For some reason, I thought Kim intimated that this was going to be a co-marketing thing. And maybe I read it wrong.
We're going to, let's do check-ins, Tom, and then I'll get right to that.
Okay. Did I do everything?
Good to see you, Tom.
I think my network might be doing something weird. Kim, can you just help me co-host right now? Because
I gotcha. So let's go to Eric next.
Yeah, so hi, everyone. Good to be with you. I'm always curious to see what emerges as we show up in these kind of places. And I think, right now I just want to acknowledge, Bet, what you were saying in your check-in about the feeling that, bigger energy of the universe, and just to recognize, I guess, for me contextually, that we're coming as individuals who have individuals' interests in this, and at the same time we are part of some kind of movement in consciousness and culture that is creating that impulse in us to show up here and to just continue to hold that context that we are also being moved. Another important perspective. Thank you for your organizing efforts and that energy you bring. I really admire that. Thank you.
Eric, are you in Montana?
I am in Montana. Sorry for not mentioning that. Yes.
I just know we're really spread, and this is fun. Dawn, go ahead. You're still on mute.
Try that again. Don from Boulder, Colorado. Was just in Montana a year ago for a week-long bike trip. Gorgeous place, great place to live. And Boulder's okay too. A lot of integral stuff here for sure. But I come at this all the way back to Claire Graves, and I was a student, an undergraduate student of his briefly. Made an impression. I've been kind of in touch more with the spiral dynamics side of things. And Rika, who you may know, has been a co-researcher with me on establishing an archive of Graves material at Union College, where he taught, where I was an undergrad. So that's a thing. And the academic part of that is where Tom's name comes up as trying to reestablish sort of the academic underpinnings of all this stuff. So great to see you, Tom. And next 3 days from now, I get on a plane to go to Europe. So I'm in that current headspace of packing.
Thank you, Don. And Michael.
Hey, everybody. Had a relatively suboptimal day, and the last thing was conversation with a mom whose son just ended his life while in a psychiatric facility south of Dallas. And so I'm devastated and rocked, and also feeling so much love and support for a community that's coming out of the woodwork to help out the family and just give them what they need. So yeah, it's like I kind of signed on to Zoom and then kind of signed off as like, wait, I got to check in with myself first before I sign up to be with other people. Because yeah, I do feel profoundly rocked and held simultaneously by all this. And I'm feeling, I'm feeling profoundly connected to this tribe, because I feel like this is the reason why I want to hang out with y'all. Because, it's like, so when I got back onto Zoom, I was like, no, this is the group I want to be with as I allow myself to get rocked by these feelings. And as you can tell on my face, I'm like profoundly sad by all this. Right? This was a friend of my son's who ironically about a month ago sent me a text basically wanting to sell me edibles. Like, and it's like, and I said no, because I felt it was inappropriate. But then I'm feeling a little bit of guilt, like maybe that would have been a nice opportunity to connect with this kid and serve him. And I didn't jump on that opportunity. So I don't want my energy to dominate this conversation, but
it's not going to dominate, Michael. It's going to feather right in. Right in. Michael, you're in Texas today?
Yeah, I'm in Texas. I'm at home preparing for lots and lots of travels in the days and weeks ahead, including being there at our gathering. And I am freaking over the moon excited by what we've created. And we still have to work the flow and get things organized and all that kind of stuff that a board of course has to do. But I want to really, really lean into one another in the spirit of growth, because that's all I want in my world now. That's all I want. I want to be serving to create the container, or I want to be in the container of growth. Like, that's it. I even when people come at me with energy that's wanting to separate, I'm finding ways of turning that around pretty quickly and again, creating that container of growth. So I hope I can continue to serve to do that, especially with integralists who are willing to go all in. That's what integralists are about, like willing to go all in. Mind,
Take the
body,
glove.
spirit, and emotion, everything. Let's be there.
So taking what you said, Michael, is really interesting because Bet had us do an exercise where to look at when we felt not being supported in conflict. It was funny. I was in conflict with myself.
Mm.
So I'm going to get out of my self-conflict and I'm going to move us into this next part, which addresses the second part of what you're talking about, Michael. But I want to answer Tom first. Tom, I invited you specifically because, yes, it's time. Namali pointed it out. We looked at it at what the future, we looked at it with the polarity mapping up and down. We looked at it again when we met with her several times. How do we cooperate? How do we collaborate? How do we really correlate what these various action groups in integral and spiral dynamics are doing to make an exponential, put it together, it becomes more? How do we do that? So I wanted to invite you so that we'd start to have those conversations, because Lynn told me, for everybody to know, Lynn and Jose put on that what's the future of integral in Sedona, and Tom was like so in the mix of organizing, devising, and then putting that on. So Lynn told me some stories, Tom, and said, talk to you. So I'm going to say, will you join us for this hour? And will you please talk from your heart and also from your practicality of what you need? And then I don't know if we can answer that, but I wanted to at least have a platform for the discussion. Same thing, Dawn, with you, when we're looking at spiral dynamics, there was this big split between the Ken crowd and the Dawn crowd for a long time. Don't we think that's over? So how do we correlate? How do we coordinate? How do we, and the word is support. So if you will just change your body position, you don't have to stand up, but just change your body position in order to change to a different space. And this is the kind of stuff that we do in ILiA. And again, Eric, thank you for letting us be a little redundant here. But as we close our eyes, may we, and as we center, so eyes a little open, however you're comfortable, to open a space for the imaginal. So imagine a time when you felt supported, when you felt loved. What are the words you would use to describe that? I feel warm. I feel full. How do you feel?
Touched.
And what emotions arise there? And where does that live in your body? And how does that inform your action? If you could just rest in there for a minute and notice, just notice. And if you can breathe your way back to the we of us from your wonderful supported interior eye, and come back here with us. So Bet and I devised a bit of a change of plans because some of us couldn't be here today. And we're going to continue in that realm, but it's going to be a little fluid. So the way that I want it to be fluid is that we want to be clear in our intention. For us, support pods usually mean someone has an idea, someone wants to try something out. Someone arranges that with us, and then we listen. Maybe it's screen share, maybe it's whatever. And then the object is to support me like this, is what we call it. So if I'm going to present something that I'm working with, I tell everyone at the onset, support me like this. This is what support looks like. And then we go about having an interaction, and again, it's a very supportive space. Here today, we need to be clear in our intent. We wanted to make sure that our community is growing, and we want to make sure that our community is informed about this October event. And as Michael says, we want to know, everyone to know how excited we are, because we think, again, that ILiA is doing something fairly novel, and that we're doing something that, is worthy. So that I'm going to hand it to you. I'm not going to do history of ILiA. I'm not going to do things that we talked with Namali about. I'm going to say, perhaps what would feel best is to just take a round and let everybody have a couple of sentences. So if everybody would feel through, if you have a couple of sentences about what's important to you to have happen in the remaining 35 minutes that we have, what would you like in that space? I'll do this in a call out kind of way. I'm going to start with Dawn. I'm going to go to Michael, then Tom, then Suzanne, then Eric, then Bet, and then I'll speak last. So is that okay? Can everybody just, and you can make it as short as you want. Please don't make it really long, just for time. Dawn?
Okay. So apart from all the academic stuff I talked about, my day job, so to speak, is working on kind of climate action, and in particular, in narrow particular, is in electrifying the, at least to start with, the American economy. So, electric cars, solar storage combinations, and it's a place, in the kind of in the business world that is, the goals are integral, the activity not so much. And so coming here, I was hoping to compare notes with other people. It doesn't have to be in that particular space. It could be any number of social actions or others, but what it takes to be effective, to bring the lessons we kind of get out of integral in action. That's kind of, I was responding to the name of the whole thing, and that's where I would look for that support. Not looking for, and maybe to make the distinction, I'm not looking necessarily for emotional support, but sort of, I kind of trust almost everyone here almost automatically to be emotionally supportive. Can you give me some practical help with the stuff I'm trying to do as well? Does that make sense?
Perfect. Michael?
I'm getting a sense that this gathering that we have coming up has been put together thus far in terms of the participants who are coming, including the folks that are facilitating various explorations. I'm coming to understand that our process of, quote, marketing this event has been very intimate, and that we are passing around a felt sense understanding of what this gathering is going to be like, so that people like every one of us can invite the right people. I don't mean right people by any easy to identify criteria, but our felt sense of who should come, who needs really deeply embodied integral in practice. Like the message from each one of our quote presenters, who are not really presenters, is that they're going to engage us in the work in all quadrants. And to me, is exciting, but not everybody is going to want to come to a event in Boulder to experience that. But I think we know if it's us, but we also know if it's somebody else that we know, perhaps intimately. Like, this is to Suzanne's point. I want to save the world, and I want to do it with a tribe. Like, so how do we gather that tribe together periodically to do the work? And so this particular work is about embodiment. Like, how do we allow integral to be expressed through us? Which, Don, by the way, is my approach to doing climate work, right? That's how I want to do it. I want to bring in the understanding of why this is important through the body. So yeah, it just feels like that's what the opportunity is. And I know, Kim, I took way too long to say that.
John, I just want to ask you, are you working with John Steiner? Michael, rather, sorry. Are you working with John Steiner in Boulder?
No.
You should be. Okay, so somehow hook me up with you. And
yeah, that's great. That's how we build the tribe, Suzanne. Yeah. Please make an introduction.
He's a perfect.
I would suggest that we just use chat. And if you want to put your contact into chat, that just makes that easy. I probably said this wrong, but I'm going to go ahead to Tom and then Eric.
So when you brought up the fragmentation within the integral community, and I hadn't thought about even spiral dynamics is fragmented within spiral dynamics. It's kind of ridiculous. Over two colors, they're fragmented. And how much we hold aspirationally to work collaboratively, which means, can we hold a vision and a feeling, and that be the bigger focal point, the direction we move in, despite our differences, despite our self-interest. And I don't think we really do much better than anyone else out there, which is really sad, because it is such a small group. Is why wouldn't I want to promote other consciousness communities? Because even look with an integral, with meta integral and the different groups fragmenting out. Really? Are we really that different? So it is a little frustrating, trying to organize these things. And I'd like to see not just aspirational talk, but real concrete stuff. Do we agree to do things like open our mailing lists when there's other events on? Are we going to use our contacts? I can use San Diego Integral to help you guys, which has almost 1,200 members. And why not? I mean, it's so ridiculous. It's that's the real world application for me. I'm sorry, I should be a little more embodied because I'm doing so much work in HSP, but I'm just really in all this nuts and bolts stuff right now.
I get it, Tom. Yeah, and I totally resonate with what you're saying, brother. Absolutely, 100%.
Eric?
No any walls.
Yeah. Something that I wonder about, I jotted a note to myself earlier, because I've been in this integral community and also studied with Don Beck many, many years ago, when he talked about superordinate goals. And one of the things that I wonder within the integral context, to the extent that I'm on a personal self-development path, that is my organizing principle and reason for being, then I'm doing a la carte of all these different things that serve me in my development. It's not a bad thing. It's just, a way of showing up. And I wonder how that shifts as we have mutual goals of things that we want to enact in society, and that becomes an overarching organizing principle, that people come in their own ways, but there's something where I feel like I'm together with someone. When we did that little exercise earlier of feeling supported, I had a memory of someone. I'm very interested in the political sphere, and there was something. This person said, "Wow, you really need to be at this event." It was with Don Beck, actually, many years ago, and it's like, I'm paying your way. We're going. I'm going to get you there to that because you need to be at this. And that kind of thing of how do we look at what are possibilities that we organize around that are serving some larger social good that go beyond our own development. So that's my thoughts.
Thank you so much, Eric. Okay, ring resonance. Suzanne.
I like listening to all you serious players. I'm a serious player too. I wasn't kidding when I said I'm into saving the world. All I kind of focus on is what gets us over this hump of where we are to where we need to be. And, where we're leading our self-serving lives to where we're leading lives of mutuality. That's kind of the essential shift. As I'm listening to you talking about how the various groups could be getting together, I have a suggestion. If you all have the same purpose, you can all get behind it. And here's my suggestion. Mostly, by and large, not this community as a focus, but the world as a focus is trying to solve problems at the top. Nobody's dealing with what's causal, what's creating them all. How can you change something deep down that changes everything, changes humanity, actually, changes people, so that different people create a different world. So how do you create different people? And that's a goal for everybody. And to me, the way you do that is you change the creation story. It's absolutely up for change now. Science is supporting a new creation story. It's not rugged individualists. It's one humanity where I am 13.8 billion years old. I am, because I am all that came before. And it's a beautiful story. I don't know how much you all are tuned into that. Brian Swim is the best storyteller. It's the lineage from Teilhard de Chardin to Thomas Berry to Brian Swim. To me, that indoctrinate the world with that story, and you change everything, because people will change everything. They'll act differently. And I make this case. I write a lot about it. I've been on Substack since the beginning of the year because it's a serious platform. So I'm trying to do serious things there. But interestingly enough, even though Substack is all about writing, good writing, nobody has this subject matter. You have your pundits on there, Tom Hartman and Robert Reich and Michael Moore, but they're all screaming about what's going on. I mean, yeah, we could all scream about that. And then everybody, hundreds of people say, yeah, it's terrible what's going on. And we need to change our vote Democrat. But, finding like-minded people who are on my wavelength, not so many. So I'm really eager to connect with everybody on my wavelength. I'll put my Substack in. I'd love you all to get on my mailing list. And I do send out interesting things, and happy to have you all there. And I'd love to talk about that idea that all the groups take up. One more thing. I'm having an animated film made with the story, the universe story, as a tool to teach the world. And Brian Swim is the vocal on it. I've taken clips of his from various talks. You know Brian Swim? Raise your hand if you know Brian Swim. Yeah, okay, good. So the audio is all Brian in his animated, excited self with all the points he makes, and the animations will be little ones that will then put together in a big one and be a tool for us. And so I'm a big Brian Swim fan. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm going to pass it over to Bet.
So many things. Oh my gosh, so many things. I also want to change the world, and I have since I was a small child before anyone told me I wasn't going to be able to. And I go through waves every day between absolute joy, positivity, and then, waves of despair. And I tell my husband regularly that I figured it all out, and he's like, you always figured it out, Bet. But anyways, I've been thinking a lot about the narratives, that there's these narratives that are driven. And each of these players, I'm a big fan of Howard Bloom, the Lucifer principle, global brain, that the winners are telling us these narratives to make us do things that keep them in power. And the losers are telling us narratives that help them try to get back into power. And we're all just these pawns being blown back and forth by all these narratives. And I love integral theory because it helps me zoom out and see the bigger picture above these waves of this happening, that happening. And because I'm infinitely positive and optimistic with no reason to be, I do believe that if we can get together and work and each like this integral, I come from a mathematics background. I have a computer science degree. I'm thinking from a mathematics point of view, if we can integrate the pieces of us all doing the work in all the different places in our lives, then we can build the things that we want, that we think are going to maximize. So I'm in the middle of these Paul Conti, Dr. Huberman podcasts, and there's two things humans need to be happy: agency and gratitude. And if we can maximize our agency, which as we go up the spiral, we're able to have more freedom. We can love who we want to, we can have the job we want to, we can specialize. We have agency, and then we can bless more people with gratitude. Like we can scale up our gratitude to help and bless more and more people with our gifts. So this is like what I'm thinking about every day as I think about how, Suzanne, what you're talking about, each of us is co-creating the universe. And so basically we could remember that we are the universe, then maybe we could actually be kind to each other instead of yelling at each other. Anyways, I don't know. But I'm thank you. Thank you, Michael. Back to you, Kim.
So that's really interesting because I can really, Michael will tell you, I can really come off like an airhead, but I'm really not. And so there's that. Thank you. So I recognize that I asked, well, what do we want to get done in this time? So that was a very interesting response from everybody to that question. So what I want to say is, Tom, you said, why not? And that's what I would like to get done in this time, recognizing that what Bet asked us to do in that embodied exercise, what I asked us to do in that other, is that it feels, it can feel so good, or it can feel so crappy and thick and horrid. And it can switch. For me today, it was just like at 1 minute, and then I remembered, oh, and the next minute, there I was with all this energy to do all this stuff. And that's our stories, Suzanne. I feel like that's our stories. So what I want to offer us at this moment, because I told you my intention for today was to be honest in that we want to, Tom, it would be lovely to use your mailing list. And when I called Lynn, I asked, can we offer, what do we do? What can we do with collaboration? And her answer was, talk to Tom. Because I tried and I'm ready to pull my hair out. So So in the supportive way, in the warm way, in the way that we create a container where we actually practice. And it's not, I trust you, it's that I am trustable by my being trustworthy in that space. Then I can actually rely on others to do so too. So I want to offer the support pods. I heard at least 3 ideas. Dawn, straight up, I heard you say, I'd love to have your ideas, your support. Support looks like this because I have this thing and I want to work on how to get it presented. That's why we made these support pods. Bet made them. So I heard at least 2 other ideas that I thought felt just like that kind of container. And any of us on the board would be happy to talk to any person, you or others that you know who could use this. We'd love to build this. And that's the idea, is to have a community, an integral, supportive community where we can try out ideas and, you know, have practice our good ideas so they become, I'm going to say a better story, but of course we're leadership in action. So we're looking to get our feet out on the ground out there and do. So
where do you put, you know, if you have an idea that you'd like people to talk about, I have also more than just what I said to you. How do you submit that?
Bet.
Do you know?
I am the facilitator of the support pods. We've had 5. So just so you have some ideas about this, because I really feel the support pods is such a valuable thing, for, especially for people who want to continue this community outside of the integral embodied event in Boulder. So Tyler did a whole movement-based one. I did one called Creating Intentional Social Media Using Spiral Dynamics. I went through every level and analyze examples of social media. And I actually want to do that one again because I've come up with a lot more since then. Michael did one called Using AQual and AI Tools to Create Targeted Marketing. And then I think, Embodied Zoom. We talked about how do we transmit embodiment through Zoom. Kim and Vic did that one. And then the last one, which I think is really similar to what you're talking about, Dawn, is that we had Dan Noble talk about this regenerative economics, where he's building this basically association of people in California that are transmitting physical waste products around the cycle through food and you know, food stock and all kinds of different, and we gave him real concrete ideas based on his situation. So we take a case study from your real life and then we bring our different ideas. We're all not experts in each of us's area, but we have transferable paradigms that we can bring in to help. And Dan's, I mean, I feel like all of them so far have been mind-blowing and very, very useful. So that's an example, and you guys can watch those videos from the previous ones to get ideas. Yeah, we can totally have every one of you present. And Tom, I mean, it's really about like in action. What are you doing out in the world that you can bring to get support about? We're not so much into abstract, like I built this, you know, new diagram and let's just look at it. It's more like we're doing this thing in the world and we need concrete ideas on how to figure it out.
So before we go, because we're down to like 13 minutes, I want to make sure, Eric, if there's something that you want to say from your long history with ILiA that would help people in context. And Tom, if there's something specifically with what the future dilemma that you want to say and put out here's how I would like to be supported right now. I want to give both of you the opportunity to say something if you want to, don't have to, but I already have given my spiel. My spiel is it's going to be really cool in Boulder. I hope lots of people come. We can't have a lot because we're at E-Town, but we.
That's
But Diane Mucho Hamilton is this is new stuff she's working on. If Diane is working on new stuff, I want to be involved in the embodiment of that. So, Eric, Tom, something, anything? If not, that's fine. We can have a closing round.
Yeah, I'm trying to feel into what would be most relevant here, sort of on the spot. I think first of all, I'd echo what Bet was saying a few moments ago. A draw for me, and I've been to ILiA things from the beginning, I don't know, that's 13, 14 years ago, but it's been a while, was the inaction part of it. That I certainly see the need for the theory. I've been to all the integral theory conferences and all that too. But, I feel that strong impulse in me for how does this get out into the world, and how do these ideas serve and really make a difference in people's lives? And so I think that dimension of it is something that's, really important to me, and the concreteness of some of those, like Dan Noble's project last week, which Don would really check that one out. I think you'd find that useful, perhaps. Yeah, so that's one dimension of it, and also, just the value of being together and rubbing shoulders and being in the same kind of space. And you all know that stuff. You've been around to them, but just to keep echoing that things emerge that are not possible in our more isolated spaces, or with more academic readings and all of that, that there's just something of being together that really moves things along in a productive way. So yeah, that's just a couple of thoughts for now.
And thank you.
So I don't have much other than I like to support in bringing up ideas and the support we can generate among us. I do like that. But I was thinking we almost need a consortium of integral marketers where we all kind of agree to support each other's efforts and then specify what that means out. How do we do that? And we kind of commit to each other and the people that make things happen, that we get each other's communities behind it because we share the same communities. So I'd love to see something like that emerge. That's all I have. Okay.
I appreciate that. And that's going to be my closing round statement. Tom, that's exactly what, this is the theory part, not the inaction part. But I'm really interested, as we look at quote yellow, quote turquoise. Hi, we're almost at close, but here it is. You're going to get to hear a closing round. I'm looking, Tom, at what's the difference between leadership and action as a green or presenting to a group, because I think it's really important, Suzanne, when we're talking about the story, it's important to know who is our audience, because how we're going to present that is going to be different. So Tom, I'm looking at, yes, it would be awesome to follow up with your idea there. But that space that Eric was talking about, what leader is leading that to get that space opened so that truly co-creative, emergent new story is welling up? And I don't have an answer.
Tom, let's just you and me make it. My problem is I'm way too in action as a ENFP type 3 Enneagram. I'm just like action, woo! Anyways, I'm happy to help. I make websites like too many times, but anyways, yeah, I'm excited. I'm very involved in the Spiral Dynamics Integral Live Zoom group, which is another group. So yeah, if you want to, we can message each other, Tom, and plan and strategize before we get to action. Hi, Nick.
Hi, I'm so sorry. I've been looking forward to this webinar for like a week, and I missed the invite. I mean the calendar alert.
Well, we've recorded it, so you will watch it, and then you will show up in the last 8 minutes, and then you'll relive this moment.
Thank you.
I would love to just give more detail about this event in Boulder, because I feel like we haven't really talked about it. And to do that, I want to turn over to Michael. Michael, just quickly, Michael, talk to us about how you have selected these facilitators, because I think just talking about the process of how you went about pulling together these incredible people, and some of them, I know I'm putting you on a spot, Michael, but
You are absolutely. But I'm actually pulling up the program because I really, it's in process for sure. But yeah, I do think there's a bit of a narrative around it. When we first decided to focus on integral as an embodied element of the action part, then we thought about, what's happening in the world that we really want this particular embodied event to address. And I just happened to, since COVID, it really expanded the number of people that I would work with on a regular basis to be like hundreds per week, which was very unlike my previous existence, where I would just be working with little triads and dyads and, executive teams and all that kind of stuff. And when I recognized that the most pervasive challenge that I was seeing in the world was people having a really hard time navigating differences and not necessarily doing the work necessary to build enough strength and alignment between them to actually navigate through differences with energy and hope. And so as I started feeling into that, I kept thinking about who in our world is doing that work and doing it in such a powerful and integral way. And Diane Hamilton immediately came to mind. She's an amazing presence in herself, but to be doing the work and to watch her in a mediation space is magical. Like there's things that she does in that space around holding space and also intervening in that space, but also you can see her intervening with herself. And that's the embodied part of it. And it's beautiful to watch her confront the things that kind of come up in her in a really gentle, compassionate, again, she's a Buddhist and understands that from that perspective, but is so much more than that when you're with her and you're watching her do this work. So I asked her the question, could you bring that to us integralists? Because we have had community after community after community, and where they break down is in this space of difference. And so can you help us as an integral community grow in this way? And so the rest of the agenda had also that same inquiry. Who are the people that are really doing this work from an embodied perspective? My friend Adam Leonard at Google doing some amazing work in that context, and Nathaniel Chalkin doing it in places of both looking at psychedelics, and this work that he does from Byron Katie is just so powerful of being able to feel ourselves and meet ourselves along the road of challenges. Just is really amazing stuff. And then, other people started coming, Holly, you really wanted to help us with that emergence understanding and how we can, work through embodied processes to nurture what's emerging in us so we can always be at our edge of growth and development. Yeah. And, if we talk about the entirety of this agenda, it's a flow that moves us in from spiritual practices to relational practices to individual physical practices to very subtle domains of practice to very, very overt domains of practice. It's just going to have us in all sorts of domains of practice where hopefully every one of us are coming out of it with so much more available to us than has ever been available to us as integral practitioners in the world. Like, being able to feel comfortable navigating into the most challenging territory, both intellectually, emotionally, and relationally. Keep going. That feels really cool to be able to wade into a weekend and get that kind of, new capability out of it. That excites the hell out of me. So that's how it came together. Just everybody invited to the table, including the participants, by the way. Like we are seeing the people who are coming and actually registering, and they really are deeply devoted to this, right? It's really cool, right? We didn't intend to like curate our group of somewhere between 50 and 80 people. But, I think it is actually happening that way, right? Again, an energetic invitation to come. And the people that are signing up, when we talk to them, they're like, yeah, this is why I'm doing it. So the intention is out there, and people are, delivering on that intention, which I think is freaking cool. Really cool.
Michael, thank you so much. Your passion's coming through. And I promise you this, there will be no PowerPoints at this event.
I'm not going to be responsible. Everybody, I'm not going to tell a lie. I'm interrupting. I'm not telling a lie. Somebody might.
Somebody might. All right.
If I see a PowerPoint, I'm going to throw a tomato. No, I'm kidding.
No. Here we go. Where's the third? Where's the object? There might be a thing that we have to look at. Okay.
I might print out things though. I think
Exactly.
print out.
All
All right. So we've reached our end of time, but next month we will be getting together in person. We're not going to do our support pod in October because we're going to be gone during that weekend or that time. But Nick, did you hear enough for you to sign up, or do we need to stay for another hour? And
Can would I be able to listen to the recording? Would you be able to email that to me?
Yeah, I'll post the recording probably tomorrow. I'm going swimming tonight in the bay and in the ocean. So thank you all so much. Kim, thank you for co-hosting with me today. And Michael, thank you for sharing. And each and every one of you, thank you for coming out. The next month will be a November, and I would love to have someone from our group lead our session. So if you have an idea for what you need to bring to our support pod, it is the third Monday, which would be the 20th of November. So start thinking, Eric, I know we put it on you before that you should think about what you want. But yeah, and if we come to a point where we have too many things and we need to have multiple support pods during the month, that's would be wonderful. That'd be wonderful. All right. Well, thanks everyone, and have a wonderful night, and see you in Boulder. Woo!
Everybody.